Well, hello there, y'all. You might want to know what we're doing and where we're at. Well, we're at our local neighborhood Walmart today. And for a very special reason. We're checking out the sugar prices. Y'all might have heard about the sugar beet harvest. 45 to 55% of it's not come out of the field. So we decided we'd come over here, Walmart, check out what they had and what the prices were. So let me show you. So that's pretty much their whole sugar section. Pretty much they got the Great Value brand. And they got 4 pounds for $2.10. I understand that's 4 pounds. Now I'm not sure in what time frame it went from 4 pounds to 5 pounds. Or excuse me, from 5 pounds to 4 pounds. I used to believe sugar came in 5-pound bags, 10-pound bags, 15, 20. And then they got the 10 pounds for $4.96. Now that's just your pure granulated sugar. And that is derived primarily from sugar beets. And 95% of all sugar beets are GMO. So if that's a concern, you're going to want to come on down here to the only other alternative that Walmart has. And that's your Domino sugar, premium pure cane, 4 pounds for $2.78. And we got 10 pounds for $6.28. As you can see, not much of a selection. I went ahead and picked up 10 pounds today. And I wanted to come, more or less, just document the price. And I'll explain this all later. We're also going to stop in the superfoods. Check out their sugar prices too. And once we get there, I'll bring you along. But look at the sugar. This sugar's wiped out, man. And over here they got the Domino pure cane granulated sugar, $5.24. Now I've already checked prices at Walmart. I actually have to look at the video footage I took to remember how much it was. There's still some of that left. Now they got the 4 pounds for $2.16. Of course, they still got some pure cane, but the regular sugar is gone. And this is 10 pounds. And it's $5.86. Something ain't right. That's just granulated sugar. Almost assuredly, it comes from sugar beets. 95% of all sugar beets, remember, are GMO. And they got 10 pounds of Domino, which is pure cane, non-GMO verified, $5.24. If I need more sugar, I'll be getting the Domino. At Walmart, I do know the Domino was higher than the regular sugar. And here they also got the Dixie Crystals pure cane sugar for $2.33. 4 pounds. Non-GMO verified. I'm gonna go ahead and get one. Oh, well hello there friends and family. I sort of figured y'all might wander over this way when you caught me at Walmart. And then again at Superfoods, checking out sugar. And I know you might be curious, why I was spending so much time with my head stuck in the sugar shells. Well, I'm here to tell you why. But first, I got a few examples of the sugar I have here at my house. And I want to explain a little bit before we head on into the computer and sit down, so I can show you exactly why I'm a little bit concerned over the situation. So as you can see here, I got 3 bags of sugar. Now here on the left, I got what's left of a bag of great value pure granulated sugar. Now, this is nothing but the standard granulated sugar. And if you look over the bag, that's all it says. Then what we have here is a much larger bag. It don't make much difference. This is the Domino sugar, and you can see right there on the front, premium pure cane granulated sugar. Now, what's the difference in the Domino and the great value pure granulated sugar? Well, this right here, folks, comes from sugar beets. And in America, sugar beets, 95% of them are GMO. Yep, that's fact. Where this sugar from Domino's comes from sugar cane. And at present time, there is no GMO sugar cane, period, in the U.S. Then we have another bag here, a little 4-pound bag of Dixie Crystals. And it also says pure cane sugar. And if you notice right down here, see, non-GMO project verified. So that's your assurance there's no GMOs. Same way here with the Domino, non-GMO project verified. But nowhere on this bag does it tell you anything. It just says the ingredients right there. Sugar. So why is that important? Well, nothing other than the fact that the Great Value brand, like so many others, are coming from GMO sugar beets. And that's where some of the problem lies. So y'all, let's head on into the office, sit down at the computer, and let me show you why what your sugar is made of and where it comes from makes such a difference, and how it may be affecting us in the coming year, 2020. So come on, let's head on in there. So y'all, here we are at the computer once again. And I'd like to start here with this website. And this is from the Sugar Association. It's sugar.org. And it'll give us a overview of the sugar industry here in America. So let's head on down. From its earliest beginnings, growing sugar has been a family business. Today's sugar family includes not only multi-generational farmers who plant and harvest and care for the sugar beets and sugar cane. Now understand, they just said sugar beets, remember? And sugar cane. And there's 142,000 American jobs. 2 million acres planted with 11,000 family farmers growing. And produced 8.1 million metric tons per year. And if you don't know what a metric ton is, it's 2,200 pounds. Now the important part, 55% of that 8.1 million metric tons comes from sugar beets. Only 45% comes from non-GMO sugar cane. Now where in the U.S. does all this sugar come from? Well, you can see right here on this map of the continental U.S. The areas in yellow, such as down here in Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and other areas, those are where sugar cane is planted. Now, the blue areas right in here are where sugar beets are planted. One of the largest areas is up here in the Dakotas and Minnesota, same here. So you can see it's mostly the northern tier of states where the sugar beets are grown. Why is that? Sugar cane will not grow in their climate. Now California has both sugar cane and sugar beets. But the largest areas planted and where the refineries are in Texas and in Louisiana. Now we'll head from this site over to the USDA site and see what our government has to say about the sugar harvest. So here, we're at another site. The USDA, here again, United States Department of Agriculture. This is the Sugar and Sweeteners Outlook. And this was published on November the 15th. And right here, this says it all. High levels of unharvested sugar beet area reduces U.S. sugar production outlook for 2019 to 2020. Projected U.S. sugar production for 2019 to 2020 is reduced as both cane sugar and beet sugar production are lowered based on recent crop data. Domestic deliveries for 2019 and 2020 are reduced as well based on lower forecast totals than previously reported for 2018 and 2019. Reported ending stocks. Now ending stocks are what we have left over by the time the new year's harvest begins. And then what they have here is they have a chart, sugar beet harvested area and yields from 2007 to 2008 to 2019 and 2020. Now these are somewhat forecasted at this time. And you can see right here, this is for 2019-2020. And there's a considerable dip right there of approximately 5% from 2018-2019 year, which was lower than 2017-2018. Anyway, you see the trend. There's been a downward trend in sugar production since 2012 to our current day, 2019. And here's the U.S. domestic outlook. Record late sugar beet harvest results in a higher proportion of unharvested beets and lower beet sugar production for 2019-2020. Now that 1 cent sort of sums up why I was looking at what sugar looked like in my local Walmart and Superfoods. So what the USDA is saying here, total U.S. sugar supplies for 2019 to 2020 are reduced by 524,000 short tons, 500,000, to 13.55 million short tons raw value. And what they mean by raw value, folks, that's what comes out estimated before process. A large reduction in projected domestic production more than offsets an increase in beginning stocks. So, projected beginning stocks for 2019 2020 are 1.779 million short ton raw value, and they got a typo here, 54,000 short ton raw value. Up here they had 524,000 short ton. Big difference, isn't it? The Farm Service Agency FSA sweetener market data through September 2019 showed processors and refiners ending stocks for 2018-2019 at the 1.779 million, which carried into the new fiscal year. September data also raised estimates for both 2018-2019 beet sugar and 2018-2019 cane sugar by a combined 59,000 short ton raw value, and lowered the 2018-2019 food and beverage deliveries by 19,000 short tons, all which contributed to higher reported inventories than the previous month's estimate. Production for 2019-2020 has been hampered by cold, wet weather conditions, in most of the key sugar beet producing regions during the harvest season. Through November the 3rd, national sugar beet harvest was only 70% complete, the slowest pace on record since 2000. This was mainly due to record slow harvest progress made in Minnesota, 70%, North Dakota, 67%, and Michigan, 55%. At the time of the USDA release, growers were still contending with freezing temperatures and wet soil conditions, which can hinder growers' ability to get in the field, harvest sugar beet roots from the soil, and provide healthy, clean beets that can be stored and processed during the winter and spring slicing season. The likelihood of unusually high levels of sugar beets being left unharvested has been increasing as winter conditions continue in those states. And down here, they have another chart. United States sugar beet harvest progress, 2018, 2019, and the 5-year average. Now the blue line is 2018, and it tracks right close towards the end of November 3rd and 17th with the 5-year average. The red line is this year, 2019, and it's clear to see it's a lot lower. And that's going to have a great impact on the amount of sugar refined, what is available to consumers, not only consumers, to the processed food industry, where sugar is used in so much processed foods, soft drinks, and things of that nature. In fact, processed beverages and processed foods accounts for far greater use of sugar than consumers. The prospect of above average amounts of unharvested sugar beets reduces the sugar beet production forecast. The National Agricultural Statistics Service, NASS, November crop production report lowered its November 1st sugar beet national production forecast by 12.1% compared with the previous month. The reduction is primarily in Minnesota and North Dakota, the first and third largest sugar beet producing states. This reduction is due to lowered harvested area forecast, currently at 971,000 acres, a 11.3% reduction from the October forecast. If realized, this would be the lowest harvest acreage total since 1960 and 1961. Let me say that again. If realized, this would be the lowest harvested acreage total since 1960 and 61. More recently, the current forecast surpasses the previous 10-year low of 1.005 million acres in 2008 and 2009. The national yield forecast increased slightly from 30.1 tons per acre in October to 30.4 tons in the most recent report. Now, the yield forecast increase makes no sense with everything else they're saying up here, that cold, wet, and freezing temperatures has hindered harvest, and many of the sugar beets are still not out of the field, anywhere from as high as 33% to 30%. As of the writing of this report, we're still in the ground. Then we get down here to another statement the USDA makes. Beet sugar production is reduced 466,000 short tons, raw value to 4.588 million short tons. Up here, they had said it was being reduced by 524,000 short tons. I mean, this is the problem I have with the USDA and our government. Whenever you read the reports here, they'll say one thing up the beginning of the report, then you come down here and they say something much different. It's like they revise it midway in the report, which is ridiculous. And of course, if any of you have been watching other channels that cover different crops, especially things like corn, soybeans, and whatever, the USDA this year has been found to be fudging reports all throughout the growing and harvesting season of 2019. So I'm not even sure if we can trust their numbers anymore. So y'all, I've already showed you the government's take from the USDA on the sugar harvest with the sugar beets. So now we're going to come over here to AgriPulse. It's a agricultural based news reporting service, and right here the headline says, sugar beet harvest issues could spur Washington action. Sugar beets are stuck in the ground across thousands of acres in the upper Midwest, leaving producers and policymakers wondering just how to handle an unforeseen and unfamiliar situation. Sugar beets are grown in the Red River Valley in Minnesota, North Dakota, Michigan, Colorado, Montana, Nebraska, and Wyoming. The harvesting process involves pulling the beets from the ground before processing turns them into a refined product that makes its way into cakes and cookies. But this year's harvest has proven to be especially difficult, in some cases downright impossible. There could be as many as 150,000 acres of sugar beets left in the field this year. If they're in the field now, for the most part, they're in the field forever because they're frozen in, and they are. They're frozen in. Heavy precipitation created muddy fields that were challenging to navigate before temperatures plunged and froze the beets in the ground. Sugar beets are typically grown, sold, and processed through co-ops, and now those entities might be asking for money back in exchange for unreturned beets. According to the Grand Forks Herald, producers growing for American Crystal Sugar will be required to pay the co-op $343 for each unharvested acre of sugar beets. The plight of the sugar beet producers was top of the mind on a recent trip to North Dakota by Bill Northey, USDA's Undersecretary with jurisdiction over the nation's farm programs. He told AgriPulse USDA is in conversations with co-op leaders, producers, and lawmakers. We're going to have conversations to see if there's things that we should or shouldn't do, Northey said. We were at the very beginning of conversations about whether the USDA's wildfire and hurricanes indemnity program works or some other mechanism works. Or maybe Congress will look at creating some other kind of mechanisms to be able to help them. Last week, USDA announced intentions to make sure there was enough sugar in the country, opening the door to more imports of the product. Congress has also addressed weather challenges for other aspects of American ag production hurt by weather challenges in 2018 and 2019, which led to the creation of the WIP Plus program earlier this year to issue payments to those hit by weather-related disasters. Now, folks, there's been a lot of that, but it's especially hard in the sugar industry. Let's take a look at some other articles AgriPulse has. Now, this is also the AgriPulse website. U.S. to open borders to more sugar imports. There won't likely be enough sugar. Now listen to that, folks. There won't likely be enough sugar in the U.S. market to comfortably supply all the bakers, candy makers, and food manufacturers that need it at a reasonable price. Don't seem too concerned about you and me. So the USDA will soon be announcing a plan to allow for more imports. The USDA is now calculating just how much more sugar it will need to allow in the U.S. The department says it will announce those decisions sometime between Monday and December the 10th. Jack Roney, Director of Economics and Policy Analysis for the American Sugar Alliance, tells AgriPulse that the extra sugar will most likely come from Mexico, which appears to have enough supplies to send more across the border. Mexico, under agreement with the U.S., is allowed the first opportunity to supply additional imported sugar that the U.S. market needs. Romney said he suspects the USDA will wait until next month's supply and demand report comes out in December to decide how much sugar to allow in. The decision to allow more sugar into the tightly regulated and protected U.S. market stems from poor growing weather, forecasts for smaller beet and cane sugar crops. USDA says the USDA's latest forecast this month puts U.S. sugar production at about 8.6 million tons, a 572,000 ton decrease from the previous month's prediction. That forecast helps push down stocks-to-use ratio, the primary indicator for availability of sugar in the U.S., to a dangerously low 10.5%. There's no set mandate for what the stocks-to-use ratio need to be, but the USDA attempts to keep it between 13.5 and 15.5%, which is generally considered to be the sweet spot between the needs of producers and buyers. Now, the one number I want y'all to remember here is the USDA has estimated sugar production at 8.6 million tons. So how much sugar do we need in the U.S.? Well, let's take a look at another site to see. So now we're going to come over here to another site called Statista. And we're going to take a look at just how much sugar consumption the United States consumes per year. You can see on this bar chart, in 2009 to 2010, we used 9.9 million metric tons. That has steadily increased to 11.05 million tons for the 2019-2020 season, which is the season for next year, 2020. We'll need 11.05 metric tons. For this year, 2018-2019, we need 11 million. Now remember, we only are going to produce 8.6 million tons. So, it's plain and clear. There's not going to be enough sugar around, folks, whether it's pure cane sugar or sugar from GMO sugar beets. We're going to fall short. And if we need, so if we're only going to produce 8,600,000 pounds here in the U.S., where's all that sugar going to come from? Well, as you heard in the article prior to this one, it was going to come from Mexico. Let's look at another article that AgriPulse put out. Now this article, released on November 25th, says U.S. to import 100,000 tons of refined Mexican sugar. Now remember, we needed another 2.4 million pounds of sugar just to meet our demand for the 2018-2019 season. Now that's going into next year until the 2019-2020 harvest is harvested. But right here it says U.S. import 100,000 tons of refined Mexican sugar. And that's not even going to make a dent in 2.4 million that we're going to be short. The Department of Agriculture expects imports of an additional 100,000 short tons of refined Mexican sugar to compensate for shortages in the U.S. production. The USDA said Monday the Department of Commerce has increased the quantity of Mexican refined sugar permitted to enter the U.S. after the USDA notified Commerce of the need. This increase in Mexico's refined sugar export limit will not change the total amount of total sugar imports from Mexico, just the mix between refined and other sugar, the USDA said in a press release. This news comes after the USDA signaled the likely need for additional sugar in the country after adverse weather in both sugar beet and sugarcane regions. In November 2019, the World Agriculture Supply and Demand estimates reports the U.S. sugar production projection declined by 572,000 short tons raw value from the previous month, while ongoing weather concerns threaten further reductions. The USDA pointed out Monday. Harvest issues, primarily in the Red River Valley in North Dakota and Minnesota, but also extended to other sugar beet producing regions, also led to sugar beets left frozen in the ground rather than harvested and processed into American sugar. The frozen sugar beets and the requirement for some of those producers to pay their co-ops for unharvested acres is leading the USDA and members of Congress to study what possible government assistance could be offered. So I mean, the bottom line is, folks, at the moment, there's not enough sugar to go around till we get to the harvest of 2019, 2020 next year. We're short by 2.4 million pounds. And here our lovely government is going to allow us to import 100,000 tons of extra sugar refined from Mexico. That's not going to happen. But you can go all over the internet and find article after article, just like this one here. This is from KNSI Radio. Sugar beet harvest, one of the worst. This was November the 15th. Here's another one from US News. And this was just put out today. Frozen harvest leaves bitter taste for US sugar beet farmers. And this is from Hallock, Michigan. Whether during the harvest season in the U.S. Red River Valley, a fertile sugar beet region in Minnesota and North Dakota, as the farmers felt like a series of plagues. Rain and snow pelted crops in September and October. And that was followed by a blizzard. And then warm temperatures that left the fields a boggy mess. Next came a deep freeze, ruining the underground sugar beet crop and dealing a harsh blow to farm income. So, no matter where you go and who you talk to, the sugar beet harvest is a disaster in America. And that being said, the government is already expecting a shortfall. Now, they said we were going to produce 8.6 million metric tons. Now, I've showed you that just for the 2019 year till next harvest in 2020, we need 11 million pounds of sugar. So somewhere we got to come up with another 2.4 million tons. And here's the thing, folks, and this is what concerns me. Who do you think is going to get the sugar first? Is that going to be the food and beverage industry or you and me? I'm betting it's going to be the food and beverage industry first, the American consumer last, like always. So, I wanted to do this. I've been following it for a while. I wanted to let all my friends and family know that if you use sugar, you might want to consider putting a little bit back for next year. If nothing more, prices will be going up. Now, whether there is actual shortages or not, that's all going to depend on how much sugar our government allows to be imported into the country. Because one thing you may not know, and I didn't know here for the last several months, was the sugar industry is one of the highest regulated industries in agriculture, with strict regulations for price control. In other words, to ensure that the farmers, as well as the processors, get a good price for their product. And that's a good thing, but it's a fact. So y'all, I want you to take this information and do with it what you want. I'm using it to advise my friends and family and to make my plans. Now, as always, in America, we consume way too much sugar on the most part. And we can all cut back. And I don't consume that much. And what you saw on my counter was a little bit under 20 pounds. And in all truthfulness, that'll probably last me almost an entire year or more. The only thing I really use sugar for around here is a little bit of baking and to make, of course, the southern favorite, sweet tea. Other than that, I don't use much sugar. So y'all, I hope this was informative. I hope you got something from it. I'm sorry it took so long. So, I want you all to take care out there. Stay safe. Prepare well. And God bless each and every one of you. Till I see you on the next video, goodbye for now.